What's up, everybody? We haven't done one of these in a while, so we're back at it. So we just saw Venom, and we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. One of those sections will be relatively short from me. We're going to remain spoiler-free, just a free kind of discussion, and then Phil and I are going to record a conversation that we're going to put in next week's episode of Nerd Rage. We have Pinkerton If You're Nasty.
What's up, party people?
Murder Mace.
What's up?
Maryland Phil. And
what's up, guys?
These two are big Venom fans.
Yes,
so
I am.
I'm going to let them go first for what they liked for the good. Because when it gets to me, we're going to just zip through it.
Tom Hardy was a good point in this film. I like his acting ability. The inner monologue he has that he vocalizes with doing both parts, both his regular character voice as Brock and doing the suit voice from the comics, I think that was translated very well.
I did not realize that he did the Venom voice.
Yeah, he did both voices.
Nice.
That is interesting.
And I liked two of the side characters. Michelle Williams I liked as his love interest, and I liked Jenny Slate as the scientist who tries to clue Brock in that there's something going on at the Life Foundation.
For me, that's the good. I have to agree with what Phil said. Plus, this is probably just me, but I really like how big they made him. I mean, he's...
Oh yeah, they did a good job with that, I think.
He's good with scale and just the absolute monster that they made him into.
My little brother used to call monsters monsters when he was a kid because he had a hard time pronouncing T's. So he would always say, like, I'm afraid of monsters. It's just more so just a fun story.
John Ralphio's sister was pretty hot in the movie. That's a Parks and Rec reference. I don't know if that was her. Yeah, Jenny Slate, as you mentioned, plays one of the doctors, and I think she's super cute. Yep. All right, your turn, Bobby.
Bobby, the parts that you were awake for.
Yeah, I did fall asleep during it.
You know that he didn't like it.
I did not like it. I think Hardy did a fantastic job, but he is one of my favorite actors. So
yeah, that's true.
I could probably
lovely.
I could probably what a lovely space monster.
He came out of the League of Shadows.
The League of Shadows. He did a phenomenal job. I have no complaints with him. Like, that dude knows his craft, and I think that he can, carry a performance in spite of the movie itself. So, Tom Hardy, cheers to you. I like the way that Venom moved. Like, when he was really going for it. Like, it was like an animal. Like an ape.
Oh, yeah. When he's definitely climbing the buildings like that.
The buildings,
that was good.
Running through the city.
Yeah.
Like, it felt... Like, that's how I
very
always
animalistic,
imagined him moving. So
yeah.
I like that
was a good
as well. League of Shadows. I think that might be it. So what about the bad?
The CG was a bad thing for me. I think they could have taken more time with it. Because some of the stuff that is pretty much taken directly from the books doesn't translate to the screen very well if you don't get that CG right. And they could have worked a little bit harder on it. They also could have worked a little bit harder with the differences between the looks of the humanoid symbiotes. When they're bonded with their human host, because they kind of look too similar. And in the comics, they use that with colors.
Right.
Here, they tried to do that, but they didn't make enough of a difference for my liking.
Probably gonna have to be the whole first segment of the movie before you even get to see Venom. There's just this...
It's an old school comic book movie start, where it takes forever to actually get him in the bat suit.
I'll say this. If this movie had come out in the late 90s, it probably would have been a slam dunk.
I'm not going to co-sign that, but I'll tell you why.
Because this reminds me of some of the Blade stuff. How the pacing of this movie, how this progresses. Given that Marvel Studios has given us a template now for how good comic book movies can be made and done well, then this kind of falls short of that.
So you know what's happened. You know what's going to happen. The Waynes are getting killed in the alley, right?
Spider-Man's coming in.
Oh, no. Wrong franchise. It takes so long to get there. And it's at this point, it's like, how are they going to get it? I don't know, man.
I don't feel like the payoff was that good anyway.
They
took so long.
They crammed a long story into a 2-hour film.
Yeah, they did.
And you take what you get with that. I mean,
you're right.
That's what they tried to do. They tried to cram what should have been at least 2, if not a 3 or 4 film character build-up, and they crammed it into one movie.
I think they could have
starting from scratch.
I think they could have spent more time with him in the suit or in him with Venom than they did explaining the ins and outs of the technology that's going into getting it. It's like
I agree.
I don't need. You saw it.
Nobody cares.
But and they showed it like 5 times or whatever.
Yeah, they did show some.
It's like, come on, we get it. We see what happens.
And there's a couple scenes they could have cut to be shorter.
Yeah.
There was a big chase scene that was fine. I didn't mind it, but it could have been cut down in order to get to a final point.
My bad with this is a couple things. For one, nothing really changes in this world. There's no real arc for anyone. Like, Eddie Brock pretty much starts and ends the same. It's just he has a monster attached to him now.
Yeah.
These space monsters have no real impact. It's such a paint-by-numbers approach to doing this type of film.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring anything new. And I can't stand that. Because what it ends up doing, and I said this outside, is it ends up diluting the genre. And if you have enough of this bullshit come out, and the people that don't know the difference between Marvel Studios and Christopher Nolan's Batman and Venom lump all of it into one thing, if they see enough of this, they're going to stop seeing the shit that actually counts.
Right. And those audience dollars will be lost, and Marvel Studios will eventually dwindle to nothing.
But Lady Gaga over time. Lady Gaga wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lady Gaga will win this weekend.
Yeah,
a star will be born.
A star should be born this weekend.
And I will see that movie at some point too, because it will be good.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan, but
I'm not either. But
I think she is an artist.
Yeah,
I think she does approach things in a serious manner.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff I want to say about the bad. Like that, I do agree that the pacing is off. The other problem is there's one villain that you kind of track for the first half of the movie, and then you're tracking another villain the last quarter of the movie. And there's this space between the two where you don't really have a villain at all. You're just kind of watching Brock make his way through the world. I hate that it's not in New York.
Yeah.
This whole package to me seems like a group of people trying to make a movie with one hand tied behind their back. Like, we can't have Spider-Man. We can't have New York. We can't... Like, it just seems like everything about it seems stunted to me. And the overall story of it isn't great. The main antagonist of the movie, you get his whole motivations in one sentence.
And that's part of my ugly.
So let's move on to that. What's your ugly?
Riz Ahmed, the guy who played Carlton Drake, I hated.
You said the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan?
Riz Ahmed, the guy playing Carlton Drake.
Oh, okay.
His character was horrible.
Carlton Banks?
Carlton Drake.
That's all you get.
The pacing, I think, is one of the ugly things for it. How much they had to cram it at the very end is one of the ugly things for it. The post-credits that everybody's waiting for.
Trash.
Because you know, finally when they get to it and they're leading into that early scene, I'm building towards it in my mind. I was like, okay, I'm ready for it. Give it to me. And it's no payoff. It's utter trash. They had a great actor for it. They had 2 great actors in that scene.
Yep.
And it was thrown away.
There's no reason why that scene
There's no reason.
should have been as bad as it was.
Dude,
There's no reason.
Dude.
It made me hungry for a shitty hamburger.
That was...
I just really wanted a
that was the crowning achievement of a shit sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's really bad.
I was okay up until that point. I mean, this is not the greatest thing since sliced bread by any means, but that was an end cap that should not have been there, unless you were going to do it right to salvage something, and they couldn't salvage it. Was horrible. What a throwaway for that awesome actor. And I feel sorry for him as an actor that he had to do that. Because he had to read that line and say, for real? You really want me to say this?
Let's do it one more time, but emphasize the third syllable.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done so much with that scene, and they threw it away.
Dude, what if at the end...
That was a kick to the nuts at the end.
What if at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, so she walks in, and she's like, oh my god, and he says, what? And she reaches behind his head and like squishes a spider on the wall and goes, it's a spider, man.
That's the closest equivalent to the end of the Venom movie. That would have been terrible for Spider-Man Homecoming, and of course it's Marvel Studios, so they didn't do that. Thank God. But for Venom, they did the equivalent of that horrible thing that Bobby just described.
The way they wrapped up the movie, I wasn't happy with. It all happened within a span of maybe 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of like an Iron Man 3 ending.
Yeah, the bad guy lost, good guy won. He went back to the way his life was before, and like you said, nothing changed at all. You could have he could have gotten the symbiote. He could have avoided everything that happened here. Learned a couple life lessons along the way, telling Venom not to be bad, and you know, could have skipped everything that you sat there for 2 hours for.
I'm gonna say the CG. Honestly, the opening scene is like, I was like, yeesh, is this a continuation of that Spider-Verse animation? Because it sure is. That doesn't look like it wasn't great. And it was almost like some of that stuff was bad, and the suit stuff was questionable. I didn't hate the way they made the characters look, but that first scene just put a sour taste in my mouth.
Mine also is the CG. I can deal with it for the most part, with the exception of the final fight. I fell asleep during the final fight because it got so repetitive and dull to me, and I knew how it was going to play out either one way or the other, and I woke up after it, and then after they fought, I made a conscious decision to just go back to sleep. Like, I saw how the bad guy was defeated, and I was like,
one eye, and you're like, nope.
And I was like, all right, I'll get out of this. And I woke back up. They were like outside by a manhole cover or something. I woke back up at that. I fell back asleep. The fight looks a lot like, I said, like a lava lamp on crack.
An overstimulated lava lamp.
Look, I love comics. It is one of the gateway things that brought me into almost everything in this culture. Venom just doesn't work without Spider-Man.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to see any more of this shit. I don't want to see a Scarecrow movie with no Batman. I don't want to see a Blob movie with no X-Men. Like, I don't want to see any of that. Give me the Venom story, the important story, how it relates to Carnage and Spider-Man, and that's it. Or progress with it further beyond that. But give me what counts, or don't give it to me at all. I'm not going to see the animated one because of this one.
Ooh, that's disappointing.
For 2 reasons. But I'll talk about that more on Nerd Rage. Out of 10, what do you give it, Phil?
As a monster movie, I'll give it a 6. But as a comic book movie, I'll give it 4.
So you're averaging a 5.
Yeah.
6.5 overall.
Literally exactly what you said. If it's just a monster movie,
If it's a monster movie, it was fine.
and a fun romp is all I
Yep.
can say. It's a 6, but it's a 4 as in the universe. So I'll give it a 5.
I'm giving it a 3.
Wow.
And I'm only giving it a 3 for Tom,
Yeah,
whatever his
Tom
middle
Hardy.
name is, Hardy. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.